you definitely need to switch the screen. Pepe, get on that. All right. I know this is very difficult to read or see, so I'm going to do that for you guys. But we got notification here in Discord from Soviet, a very reliable source here, one of our members of our community, that there's been a couple upgrades to 3.15, and I'm not too sure about it because we all know like roadmaps just trigger me. Roadmaps in general, people that do the roadmap, you know, here's what's going on in the roadmap, because there's so many changes, both bad and good. I just like it. It gets to me. It does. I have to admit, it gets to me. I stopped doing roadmap updates probably around 3.1. I don't know. It was a long time ago. I can't even remember how long ago it was because they get me on edge. They just get me on edge. But I did like what I saw here on one of the updates here said that they're building, implementing, and balancing RSI's mining platform, the Orion, as a flight-ready vehicle. Now, that got me excited. That got me really excited because the Orion is one of those ships that is just... I'm really looking forward to seeing it in the game. Like, it's kind of like a wet dream as both an industrialist and a pirate kind of guy that the Orion gets in the game. But like apparently this is something that was an update. Erad saying that's for 3.18. So okay, cool. All right, they must be like initializing it. Is that what they're doing, Erad? Are they kind of starting it right now? Finally, is that what's going on? What's up, Execute? How you doing? So I'm not quite sure. I didn't think that they're going to have it ready for 3.15, but I saw that and I was like, whoa, what's going on here? You know, like, and I'm very happy to see that. I really think the Orion is one of those wet dream vehicles for me, man. Like, both to mine in it and both to like pirate it. Like, one or the other. Like, either way, I'm happy. Yeah, and Kilo's saying the sprints on the progress tracker look really short for the Orion. So that's interesting. They must be like really putting the burner on. And they really might want to get that out the door. Also, the Genesis Starliner, which is interesting. The Genesis Starliner is one of those ships where, like, as far as a player, kind of to player utility vehicle, I don't see much happening, but possibly more on the NPC, PvE oriented kind of mission running players, NPC AI from planet to planet. I can actually see a lot of you could create your own air traffic control around PvE generated missions with a Genesis Starliner. I think that would be interesting to see a lot of that happening, so that you would have Genesis Starliners going every which way that are player piloted, and I'm sure you'll have a lot of Genesis Starliners that are also AI piloted as well. So I'm not quite sure how the Starliner is going to play out in terms of functionality and playability within the verse, but I know there will be some role that the devs are going to take, and I think it'll be more of a PvE kind of stance on the Starliner. So, and then the links, which, you know, I don't know too much about the links, honestly. So that's something I'll have to brush up on. So I'm not quite sure exactly what role are you guys aware of the links? That sounds like something out of left field to me. I've not heard of the links or its functionality or what it does. So not quite sure, but it is a ground ready vehicle that they're going to be implementing and balancing. So isn't Lynx a deodorant brand? And then a couple things on the release view on 315, New Babbage Hospital, getting that meta gameplay in that I know a lot of us are looking forward to. I think that'll add a lot of depth to gameplay. The Orison Hospital, you know, this is something they talked about on a few Inside Star Citizens ago. Yeah, definitely got your value-added gameplay. You're seeing rest stops and space stations, clinics. So you're seeing Grim Hex Clinic. So you're seeing like hospitals being added. You're seeing a layer of medical gameplay and places in the verse that are going to be supporting the medical gameplay aspect to Star Citizen, which is really going to be fun. I mean, really, I think that's definitely a bonus to see all that kind of come into play. You got loot generation, which we talked about inside Star Citizens ago. Asset Manager MobiGlass app, which I'm excited for. Localized inventories. Asset Manager keeps track of player-owned items, where they're stored, and where they need to go pick up, transfer, and equip them. So we're getting much more into the physicalized inventory that we want as traders, that Quantum will kind of, fit into, or that will fit into Quantum, I should say. And then you got the physical local inventory support, which goes along with the asset manager and the upgrades that are going to need to happen to the UI in the additional functionality from your MobiGlass. So very much looking forward to that. And then also infiltrate and defend missions. So more missions added in terms of like combat oriented PvE missions, which are nice. And last night we also learned, which was really huge for me, that Quantum will insert missions for players that are actually involved or kind of the antithesis of other generated AI missions, where factions are kind of going against each other, where you might encounter another player working on a mission that is a faction that you're fighting against. And instead of just having AI there for a PvE mission, you actually might have another player there working for the other side. So that is really dynamic for me. If they can pull that off, if Cloud Imperium can pull that off, that is like huge. I'm very much looking forward to that dynamic where somebody's accepting a mission for one faction, somebody's accepting a mission for another faction, that where the missions collide, and then you're just expecting to have like a PvE confrontation, and then there's like a player there. And you're like, holy shit. And the player's firing against you, right? So you have like a PvE, PvP mix that is very, very sensual right there. I really like that. That gets you really immersed. For me, if that happened just randomly, I would love it. And I think the more times that happens, the better the game becomes. And then you'll have like medical facilities to fall back on if something happens. So I really like the direction that they're going here. Very cool. Updates to the Broken Moon map, which we know about. We talked about that last night on Inside Star Citizen Review. And shops and patrons vastly expand interactive usable needed for an assortment of shops and patrons. So they're just going to like continually update. They're going to create more object containers for additional items in additional shops, and they're going to keep expanding upon the economy, as it were. They just really need to get physicalized inventories down. They need to get persistence down. They need to really get into the nuts and bolts of Quantum, and we need to see like a 1.0 Quantum hit. So that's really what I'm looking forward to. I know a lot of traders are looking forward to it, because a lot of traders right now are just like, hey, sometimes this is rather pointless. So we need more layering to the economy for sure. Doctor nurse AI behaviors. A little doctor nurse AI RP. No, that's terrible. When the player responds in the medical bed, they will be greeted by a doctor with dialogue. Okay. A nurse can be seen in the background interacting with various medical themed usables, with a medical tray and IV drip, inspecting the medicine cabinet. This will add life and movement to the patient's room when he awakes. Ooh, and that's really cool. I want to have the eyes, like everything's kind of black, and then I want to kind of have the eyes like it's out of focus, and then like you show up in the room. I hope they design that in, like, yeah, and then you wake up to a sponge bath, right, Oz? And they better have a DG stash. I definitely want a DG stash on one of those docs, because then he's legit. Then he's professional, Jay. Then you got the professionalism that you need when you see the stash on the doctor. Absolutely. That's very cool. I'm really down for this. This is awesome. So what I'm gathering is most of this will be 3.15. And I'm digging it. Like we've come such a long way. People really needed to take a breath and just be like, wow, like look at what has happened. 2021 was is the most underrated year in terms of the game development for Star Citizen. Not enough people are talking about everything that has been happening this year. It is like really a gangbusters year for development and for content and for progression. Like really, 2021 is, they have like seriously trailblazed this year. This year is like one of the probably most spectacular years in terms of the development of 2020 of Star Citizen. Yeah. And I don't really hear a lot of people talk about that. So that's your next video, Erad.